Hey, what BG say in that song? That get back a muff. That get back is a mother. So, with new reports that Tszyu will be now facing Keith Thurman after he was supposedly going to fight Terence Crawford. This was rumored after one of Terence Crawford's close friends, someone a part of the Terence Crawford team, has put out news that Terence Crawford was interested in a potential fight between Tszyu. He felt like it's a really great, attractive fight. Tszyu had the belt, and I believe that Australia was offering all this money. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that, you know. But it's just funny to see how biased and when these Terence Crawford fans are left to think for themselves, the crazy things that they say. It's like it's no logic rooted behind what they have to say. Their comprehension skills are trash. But that's needless to say. That's another conversation for another day. But now the Terence Crawford fans are calling for Keith Thurman to just hang it up, just retire. Now Keith Thurman is standing away, I guess, and is now blocking Terence Crawford moves, stepping on Terence Crawford toes. Now it's a problem. Now when Keith Thurman, it was rumored that Keith Thurman wanted to make a potential comeback. Crawford fans, they had no problem. They had no issue with it. They said it was fine. They want to see Keith Thurman get back in the groove. You know, even if Keith Thurman had a tough test, it didn't matter. When the conversation, Jerron Boots Ennis challenging Terence Crawford, they said, Jerron Boots Ennis need to get his he need to build up his resume. He need to build up his name. He's not a big enough star. He don't make no money. He's fighting in the Apollo Theater. Just clowning this man, just downing him. They said, won't Jerron Boots Ennis face Keith Thurman? Ron Ennis prove himself first. Prove that he could beat a top welterweight before he's throw him in a lion's den with Terence Bud Crawford. So they didn't have no problem with Jerron Ennis facing Keith Thurman. But as soon as Keith Thurman comes back and he secures the Tszyu fight, now Keith Thurman needs to hang it up. Now his boxing career is all but over. Let's just read some of these comments. Shout out to AM Sports Media. Here go one comment that says, time for Keith Thurman to hang it up. And in my opinion, this is my opinion, I have Keith Thurman edging this fight out. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, well, Keith Thurman has been inactive. He hasn't fought anyone in a while. Been out for a long period of time. Tszyu going to attack the body. That's going to be his point of attack. Now, I'm seeing people say, well, Tszyu is going to defeat Keith Thurman and Crawford is going to defeat. He's going to smoke Spence again and he's going to get the winner. All right, well, let's see him do it again. Do the same thing that you did the first time. And let's see if you could do that without Victor Conti in your corner. There was a lot of conversation going on in the Boxing Ego chat. So it says, this is insane. Keith Thurman hasn't fought in well over 2 years, and they put Keith in there with Tszyu. Tim goes to the body and stops Keith Thurman within 8 rounds. You know what confuses me also about boxing fans? It's like we might as well just get rid of the sport. If nobody wants to fight, then let's just get rid of the sport. You see fans say, well, keep Tszyu far away from Terence Crawford. Keep Thurman, keep Danny Garcia, keep all these guys away from Terence Crawford. Why are we keeping fighters away from anyone? So-and-so need to stay far away from Devin Haney, or so-and-so need to stay far away from Tank, need to stay away from Shakur Stevenson. Why do you want them to stay away? If you know that the person is going to destroy them with flying colors, put them in there. You want to see a competitive fight. This is what boxing is all about. There's an underdog for a reason. There's a boxing favorite for a reason. How the hell is Tim testing himself against an inactive 147 pounder? I wonder if that same sentiment would have been for Jerron Bruce Ennis. If you would have said the same thing about Jerron Bruce Ennis, how can Jerron Bruce Ennis test himself against Keith Thurman? Tszyu is a really great fighter, but I think that Keith Thurman has the edge. Keith Thurman is going to keep Tszyu at the end of the jab. And if it was that easy, as I was saying before, if it was really that easy, Danny Garcia is a great body puncher. Sean Porter as well. And like I said, if it was really that easy, Keith Thurman would have lost a long time ago. Let's see what these comments saying over here. Let's look at the early predictions. Let's see who they got. I'm going to go with Keith Thurman by decision. Everybody's going with Tszyu, 48% by KO. I just don't think that's realistic. You know, everybody is just basing their predictions off of the fact that Keith Thurman has been inactive. I'm almost sure that Keith Thurman has been training. He has been working out. He's in tip-top shape. As someone mentioned, he don't do drugs. And a lot of people are underestimating. They forget that Keith Thurman could still crack. That boy could still crack. And I think ultimately, this is just my opinion, I think that this is PBC's plan. Al Heyman has, I don't want to say a soft spot because that's just too sentimental, but he has a connection, and he has a high level of respect for Earl Spence because of how genuine and sincere Earl Spence is in terms of his character. Earl Spence is a real one. And I think that he likes Keith Thurman as well. He looks at these two young men as his sons. That's just my opinion. The same way he, had a great deal of respect for Floyd Mayweather. How he put Floyd Mayweather in position to make a lot of power moves. I think he genuinely cares about these guys. And he wants what's best for them. Wants them to make the most money and walk away from the sport to be comfortable and walk away with all of their faculties, well compensated for the tough, grueling punishment that you have to take when you are in that ring. It's war. And I'm almost sure that Al Heyman is now well aware that Terence Crawford is working with Victor Conte. And now I think that his respect has fully went out the window for Terence Crawford. That's just my opinion. I think that he see how much of a slime ball Terence Crawford is. How much of a snake he is. He see his true character. Because this move, I said that he wasn't fighting Tszyu. That's what y'all heard me say that. I did a video talking about it. They already, as I said, protect Earl Spence. So to find out that you was working with a known cheat in Victor Conte, who's known for giving athletes steroids, and now they're connecting the dots, I'm almost sure that they got word. Now they're going to do Crawford dirty, bruh. I've been saying that they're going to do that man dirty in the worst way. Trust me. And he got 2 fights left with PBC. So if he think he about to get Canelo, the only way he better get Canelo is he got to do what he did the first time in the first fight. And then he'll have to get Canelo. But I don't see it going that way. I think Al Heyman's ultimate plan is to get Spence versus Canelo. That's a huge money fight in Dallas. You think Crawford and Canelo would do what Spence and Canelo would do in Dallas? We talk about what Canelo, huge Mexican fan base that he has behind him. Earl Spence is literally a god to the people in Dallas. When you listen to Derek James, he did a sit-down interview, and he was explaining how hotels are generating tons of money when Earl Spence fight. Rental car places generate tons of money. I know a guy here that I used to work with. Huge Earl Spence fan, bro. This man literally flew from where we at, from up north, down to Dallas just to watch the fight. And I don't know if he was lying or not, but he said he went to the after party. This is when Earl Spence fought Ocampo. He didn't go watch the Ugas fight. Just think. He was closer to the Lamont Peterson and Earl Spence fight. He didn't even go see that. He got on the plane, flew to Dallas just to watch Earl Spence versus Ocampo. He told me that he went to an after party where Earl Spence was at, and Earl Spence had a section, and he claimed that Earl Spence invited him to a section. You know niggas be lying, so you can't believe everything a nigga say. But I mean, I take his word for it. But he said that he got to meet Spence. He said Spence personally invited him over to his section and let him chill for a little while. He got pictures with EJ. I know somebody who lives out in Virginia who took pictures with Earl Spence and told him he just a real stand-up, genuine dude. Like, you go talk to him, it's like talking to a regular person, bruh. And they ain't just me gassing. Like, these are stories that I've heard. Like, this dude really has a down-to-earth personality. You would think that you talking to somebody from off the street, like, he'd come up to you, hey, bro, what you about to get into? What you doing? You be like, bro, like, you would think that you knew this man for years. But I'm getting sidetracked. But I think ultimately that's what Al Heyman's big plan is. He wants Keith Thurman and Earl Spence to fight. He knows that Earl Spence is more than likely going to be victorious. Once Spence and Thurman fight, they're going to have a big fight. People underestimate how big of a fight that would be because these two have prior history. They don't like each other. And this stemmed from when Earl Spence started to gain recognition by getting the endorsement by Floyd Mayweather. But as Earl Spence started to increase his notoriety, Floyd said he was going to relinquish the belts and Thurman and Spence could fight for the belts. Thurman then won a fight, quote unquote, ducked Earl Spence for years. Earl Spence got in a position, but they got history. They don't like each other. They don't win at each other. The fight would make sense if Keith Thurman defeats Tszyu. Earl Spence wins. And also, let me say this. A lot of people just want for Tszyu to defeat Keith Thurman because they felt like now it's get back for Terence Crawford. They felt like they want him to win so Terence Crawford can fight Tszyu because ultimately that's what Terence Crawford wanted. So wherever Terence Crawford go, they're going to follow behind him. It's just like the queen bee, the mother bee. They're going to follow right behind it. Whatever Terence Crawford do, they're going to agree with. At the end of the day, Terence Crawford got to follow along with PBC orders. You stuck under contract. You ain't going nowhere. You do as we say. They playing chess. I've been saying it. But like I said, ultimately, you want to get Earl Spence the belt. You're going to take those belts from Terence Crawford. Go fight Keith Thurman for undisputed, for all the marbles. And then he going to go up to 160 and have a mega showdown in Dallas. Mexicans love boxing and Mexicans love Canelo. He's like one of the biggest Mexican fighters in the world. And what do you know? Earl Spence just so happened to be black and he has a Mexican style. He's come forward, put on thrilling fights. He's just loved, bro. He's loved. He's adored. People love Earl Spence style. So you clash those two together, you got a barn burner. That's a mega fight. I would rather see that than to see Terence Crawford and Canelo. I'm telling you, bro. You had two fights to choose from. Canelo and Earl Spence. Canelo versus Terence Crawford. I guarantee you that Earl Spence and Canelo would probably crack either 1.5 million or 2 million views. Mark my words. I'm willing to bet money on that. It would crack at least 1.5, 2 million views. If Terence Crawford and Canelo fought, that fight would probably barely do, I'm seeing upwards of 700 to 800,000 at best. At best. He don't possess the star power that Errol Spence. I would rather watch Errol Spence lose than to watch Terence Crawford fights. Terence Crawford, in terms of marketability, he can't sell. Al Heyman, they're trying. They done put Eminem beside him. He done built his popularity a little bit. He done built his popularity, but he's just not that star. Terence Crawford he doesn't have personality. His attitude and his persona is like, it's not inviting at all. It's not appeasing at all. He's not charismatic. Doesn't seem down to earth.